But UNH was way nicer than Plattsburgh.
It's great. And it's nice and big, so it's nice to do.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah, the town is so cute.
Yeah. She loves it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wait.
Are we waiting for some?
You get to wait till.
Yeah, we don't have a quorum.
No, we do.
No, we
Oh,
do.
we do.
There's
So we
No,
just
we've
need
got a
there's
quorum.
4 of you, so
Yeah.
we're.
Oh, then why didn't the other people come?
Because I would have to recuse
And then
myself,
we'll not have
and then we wouldn't have.
Oh,
Yes.
right. You can't be on it.
And
Yeah.
last month, like, Marilyn was supposed to attend virtually, so we wouldn't have had, even though we would have had a quorum of members, we wouldn't have had a quorum of members in the room.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's
So
an
no
in-person
decision
requirement.
can be made unless we have a quorum of members physically in space.
Right. And Marilyn, okay.
Yeah.
And this is gonna happen again next month because I can't be here.
No, but I think we should have,
What's Maryland's schedule?
I think, well, she didn't say that she wouldn't be here, so as long as Marilyn and or Chris are here, then we should have a quorum.
When is our next meeting?
May
May 7th.
May 7th, yeah, this one's just in the
May
middle.
1.
7th?
The 7th, yeah.
No problem.
It's before you leave, Jack.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm trying to make sure.
You know exactly.
Yeah.
So, where are you going, Ireland?
No, Daniel Cruz, Viking.
Oh, fun.
Sounds so fun.
Where are you starting and stopping?
Down in the south and going north, so we'll start out in Budapest and
Nice. Do you end like as far like up to Munich or are you going?
no, it's no.
Not that
You have to get off this. It's Paso, I think. We'll stop and then we're gonna go to take a bus or something to get into Prague. I've been to all those places,
Oh, nice.
but nobody else has. So.
Is your whole family going?
No, it's Jan and her sister and her brother-in-law.
Oh, nice.
They're 1 year apart. They are ages, they're number 1 and 2 of 9 children. And they, none of this phony Irish twin stuff. They're in the same calendar year. One's born in January, the next one's in December. So they're inseparable friends, and it's just.
That's wonderful.
Well, if we're ready, I'll call the meeting to order. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic Resource Albany. In attendance this evening, John Myers, myself, the chair, Commissioner McEnany, Commissioner Garrity, Commissioner Tobin, and Aaron Glennon, the Deputy Planning Director, is assisting on the computer, and Christopher Lohman, the Preservation Planner for the City of Albany, is in attendance. Previously, 10 Willett Street was going to be on the agenda, but that has been removed from the agenda, so we will, and has been deferred to the May 7th HRC meeting. Thus, there will be no discussion related to that project at this meeting. The other item on the agenda is 126 State Street. We do have a quorum present for that matter, and it is a public hearing agenda item. So this is in the downtown historic district, and they're looking for a certificate of appropriateness for the installation of a sign. Is there someone here to speak on the matter? Okay.
Tom Wheeler with AJ Sign Company. So basically what we're looking to do is install a blade sign on the front of the Capitol Center. On the State Street side. What I just passed out is a picture of the blade sign that was installed a few years back on the corner of the Renaissance building. The Renaissance sign is actually a little bit taller, the same depth as the sign we're proposing, and the illumination is exactly the same thing, where it's a aluminum face, the letters are cut into the aluminum, and then we push acrylic through, so you get a little bit of depth during the day, and light just comes out the letters at night. So it's only the letters illuminate. It's not a light box. It's just a classier, softer lighting than a light box would be. So that's the sign we're proposing. Again, 16 inches deep. So that background, none of that background's illuminated, just the letters and the logo.
And so I'm Brandon Stapler with Columbia Development Companies. We were the development consultant for this project, and we also, and I personally worked on the Renaissance Hotel in 2013-14 when we got the approvals. And so I was a little bit familiar with this. I had actually kind of forgotten about it until it got brought back up, and I had a conversation with Chris. And I think, but for the fact that the sign we're proposing is internally illuminated, if this was just a blade sign without any internal illumination, or if we had proposed gooseneck fixtures that externally illuminate the sign, I don't even think it's something that my understanding is that the HRC wouldn't even need to weigh in on it. And so just for a little bit of background, kind of going back to why we did this with the Renaissance, the same situation applies here. We felt that this was a better solution than providing an exterior, externally illuminated sign, because if we did external illumination, we'd have to put those goosenecks or some other sort of light fixture external, which is more holes in the facade of the historic building. And the other thing it does is it also, lets a lot of light spill out, not hitting the sign and kind of illuminating the whole area, potentially getting in driver's eyes. So that's why we thought this was a better solution. And again, like Tom said, we didn't want a complete lit box, that is this huge monstrosity and that's putting out a lot of its own light onto other surfaces. We just wanted, and Monica can speak more to this, but the Convention Center Authority thinks that it's really important that this State Street presence is something that the Convention Center Authority or the Capitol Center has been lacking, being kind of set a block off of State Street. And they're very excited about now having a presence on State Street, which is very busy, and a lot of pedestrians, a lot of vehicular traffic, and having the blade sign sticking out as opposed to just putting something on the face of the building obviously catches the eye of, the people walking. People are going to be parking in various locations or maybe walking from the Renaissance or the Hilton Albany. And, we want pedestrians to be able to see where to get into the building. And so that's kind of where we're at. And Tom also touched on the size. The sign at the Renaissance, which, we're very happy with, has worked well for us, is about 15 feet tall. And this one is proposed at 11 feet, so we thought that certainly seemed appropriate.
The lighting is LED as well, so you have that half-inch acrylic, and the LED light has to come through that acrylic, so it's a soft glow. It's not like a flashlight or a spotlight that shines out in driver's eyes. Really, all it does is illuminate the letters so you can see them. It doesn't cast light far at all. Again, LEDs have a very short throw.
So the reason that the planning department sent this proposal to the HRC is primarily because we did determine it to fall under our determination of a cabinet style sign being internally illuminated, as the code says. Internally illuminated, the kind of internally illuminated sign is not consistent, is why I went to you guys. The size of the sign conforms to the rest of the sign code, and we don't really regulate the design itself, which is why it's before you guys now. And as in alignment with when we were initially looking into the approval, the rest of the package has already been reviewed and didn't require HRC review, which is why it's not before you guys. And then the planning staff's recommendation just involved working with us to produce a historically appropriate non-cabinet sign, which AJ Signs requested to have it seen before the HRC in its current design.
You have a picture of what it looks like at the Renaissance Center? Signs there.
That's the
Right on here.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's at an angle there. It's kind of two streets at once.
It's at a 45-degree angle off the corner of the building.
Is that illuminated
It is.
internally?
Exact same light.
Same
There's-
thing.
I passed out another picture that actually has a little night view on it, so you can see what it looks like.
This came before the commission several years ago
Correct.
when they were redoing the Renaissance Hotel. I recall a discussion about it, going out on the street, looking at the potential, because again, an illuminated blade sign like this is abnormal to the code. So it was under review at that time, and we found it to be a very modestly stated appropriate sign for the use. And it also helped identify the location from two directions. So it had a lot of benefit associated with it. And earlier, I recall the renderings that were presented to the commission back. There were banners that were proposed for the old bank building. And certainly the work that you're doing on the bank building is wonderful, that it's being integrated into and becoming part of the Capitol Center and giving you a front door on the street. I'm just wondering if this is the only sign option available to you in terms of providing that kind of visibility is what you're looking for.
Are you talking about the blade sign being the only option? No, well, I mean, it was one that kind of, I'm Monica, I'm the executive director of the Convention Center Authority. My goal was the continuity, right? Like also the Renaissance and people being familiar with the, because we have many of our clients stay at the Renaissance and go to the Hilton. So having that familiarity of the street, something that was already approved, we knew that Albany liked that signage. BBL was obviously very familiar with it. As far as like the banners go, I think the banners for us, the banners would be a lovely goal. And I actually got my inspiration off of a very similar looking building in New York City that actually hangs the banners between the columns on a temporary basis, not a full-time basis, but a temporary basis. We haven't gotten to that point yet, so you'll probably see me again at some point in time if I need to come in for that. I'm spending my money right now on other things.
Right.
But eventually, I think that is the goal. I will say the flags, we do plan on actually utilizing the flagpoles. That's another place for us to do temporary, beautiful signage, whether it's the flag of Albany or the flag, us with our logo on it. That's another piece of activation, and it's more about like how to activate eye level, in addition to the courtyard also drawing people's eye. We wanted to make sure the courtyard drew people's eyes as well. And that will be lit, all the time, so. But as far as a different type of signage, that wasn't originally the concept. We just thought it would be more appropriate to probably follow along with what's already on the street.
It's effective for pedestrian traffic. Again, when you're at either hotel, you can look and you see that projecting off the building. Whereas a flat sign, you really have to be at the building to see it. Again, when you're driving, same situation. You can see that coming up the hill or down the hill. Whereas a flat sign, you really have to be in front of the building, so it's effective.
So the sign's going to be the slide with that red rectangle, and in your submission, that's where this sign is going to go, like roughly at the second floor level?
So right where that little window is? Yep.
Okay. And will it be meant to signal that people enter the courtyard? Is that why the sign,
It won't have any directional.
No, but its placement there, is that where people, that's where people, I just don't remember, is that where people will be entering the Capitol
There's
Center?
just below the red and to the left, that storefront that's there. On the right side of that storefront is a door.
Right in between
And
the
then,
flags.
And then there's the main entrance in the center of the building. But also, if you wrap around the right side of the building, and maybe you remember from when we were here before, we're adding an accessible entrance into the building on that side.
Right,
On the
The
door.
whole courtyard development.
that's what
Right,
I
but
was
there's a-
thinking you'd be referencing.
There's a door right there at the, just back from the front facade, that's
Oh,
the
right.
accessible entrance into the historic building. So the placement of the blade is kind of right in between those two main entrances to the historic building. So that's kind of what we thought.
And the other side of
Okay.
the building, the PVA building, the Troopers building actually abuts the building, so you wouldn't get the same kind of effect.
That makes sense.
We're really excited about this. I can't even tell you. Like, poor Shannon, our general manager, she just cannot wait. She's out there scooting gravel so it goes faster. And we've had several inquiries and we've already booked March events, so, yeah, so. Chop chop.
We're also very eager to complete the project.
It was a long winter.
Particularly since they're booking March or events. And,
Yeah, there's no option.
yeah, it's pretty much a hard stop.
If we don't finish in time, we owe Monica a lot of money, so there's no option.
Now, you mentioned the flag poles. Are those the two projecting?
Yeah.
Poles on either side of that main entry door, which,
They're existing.
yeah, okay.
And they actually, the construction guys, there's two lion, almost like door knockers, but lions with the mouth thing.
Yep.
And they were actually able to find the other one that was missing, so we do have that.
Okay.
They found it buried in the basement somewhere, just like in a pile of stuff.
Of course.
As with most.
And it weighs like 75 pounds or something, it's crazy.
Well, that's why it didn't walk away.
Yeah.
Was there any consideration to like a different lighting source instead of being internally illuminated, having something like the external LED neon imitation lighting system?
Neon's not great, it doesn't like the cold, so.
Well, they now make it in an LED strip.
Right.
as
Sure.
well,
Yeah,
so-
and these letters are small enough, that you really can't get those bends. So this is push through, so we can cut the acrylic, narrow, and this is a lot of times you'll see a faux neon sign, it's done this way, where you take an aluminum face and cut a thin groove, and push through it, a thin piece of acrylic, and it looks like neon. So this is a similar look to that when you're done. This will push through the surface about a half an inch, so it does project. So it's very similar, but a little bit different.
I like the consistency of this sign, this proposed sign, and the one that's already on the corner. Because to the tourist, it sort of takes that entire upper part of that block and says there's a community of interest here. And the interest is for tourism, and they're not into something that's totally unique, different, even competing. Instead, it says this huge complex that includes the Capitol sales at the convention center as well as the hotel. And now it's great having a frontage on State Street.
So I have a question about planning, like recommendations, because it talks about historically appropriate non-cabinet style sign. Is that meant to be in addition to this sign? Or instead of?
Yeah, so here we go, sorry. Yeah, so it would be an approval with conditions to allow them, because again, we don't regulate the content of the sign or the general construction in terms of like it saying, Albany Capital Center with the logo. Because the sign is currently in, like as we had stated, what we consider to be a cabinet sign, if they had wanted to flatten it to a blade sign, like a flat blade, or if they had wanted to explore exterior illuminated options, that would normally conform to the code and would be the way that we would have reviewed it without HRC approval or HRC referral. If they had done that without wanting to come to the HRC, which was what the original approval was written for, and I try not to change it up, because if we can change it up, then maybe, yeah.
Got it.
So, yeah.
I think I got it. So
It would be conditioning it to come back to planning staff to have them modify it to be a blade with like external goose lighting or a neon
LED
stripping
bar,
or some
yeah.
sort of not an internally illuminated cabinet, so.
So that's the issue is the internal illumination
Yes.
of the cabinet,
That's the section of the code that it has.
even though it's not like
Because the
a box sign.
The cabinet sign, it being a cabinet sign or being constructed in that way, it's explicitly prohibited within historic districts.
But we
But
approved the Renaissance Hotel.
we did
Yes.
approve, or it got, because it didn't comply with that section, so that's why the Renaissance Hotel was referred to, and we're referring this application to the HRC.
Got it.
So, again, it's.
So we could make an exception
Correct,
to that because
yeah.
like there's cabinet style signs that are like box illuminated that it seems very reasonable we don't want.
Mhm.
This feels like the ordinance maybe isn't keeping up with the technology of sign styles.
So the,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that makes
like,
sense.
it's coming to you all to either make an exception to that, or you can either uphold staff recommendation for approval of conditions, or make a determination that you find differently.
So the approval with conditions though is that they can't use the internally illuminated sign that they're proposing. I guess
But you don't, and that's,
Yeah.
that's just a staff recommendation.
Yeah, that's
not
just
a
our
board
recommendation. You,
I would move to
Well,
approve
and
it.
you're kind of
I agree.
channeled by reading the ordinance, reading the code.
Correct.
I'm going what the code says. That's what it comes
We
down
can
to.
go outside the code.
Yeah.
We can drift outside a little bit.
All right, so I'm gonna move to
We
approve.
do,
Oh, I
sorry,
can't.
we do have one person signed up for public comment.
Oh, good, is it Lee?
Lee Pinckney?
Yes.
From Florida?
Yes. He's been
He-
joining
he's-
our
He
commission
has
meeting.
been?
Yeah.
He can't get enough.
We always like to hear
No,
what he has
you
to
can't.
say.
Either you can't get rid of him or he can't get rid of Albany. I don't know. It is.
Lee, are you there?
You hear me?
We can.
Okay. I can get rid of Albany, but I can't get rid of my colleagues.
Good to hear your voice.
Good to hear your voice. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good, good. And how are you, Brandon? I see you still keeping your hands into things.
I'm doing my best.
Good. I have no problem with the sign. Two things I wanted to mention. Why the teacup shape for the Albany County lettering?
The logo at the top, is that what you're?
No,
Yeah. Why the? I'm talking about the shape of the Albany County portion. Looks like a teacup.
Oh,
Yeah, like the traffic wheel.
Yeah, I just want to know why that type of shape. I really have no problem with it because it's a modern interpretation of a sign, and it works. So that was one issue, one question that I had, why that shape? And I was thinking to myself, if you made it a rectangle, it'll look more like a cross, and it'll sort of like representing a church.
it would look like a cross.
Yeah.
But anyway, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that when you attach the sign to the stone, I suggest attaching the attachments go directly into a stone block rather than a joint and stone, because those anchors are so large, they're larger than a joint. So if you were to put it through a joint and stone, you have to patch if it was to be removed, you'd have to patch the joint, then you'd have to patch the stone. So if you just install it right in the middle of a block or somewhere in a block, if you would remove it at a later date, you can just patch the stone. So it's less noticeable that way. Other than that, I think it's a good project.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Aaron, are you, not sure if you agree about the placement of the,
Well, I just don't know the size of the anchors. I didn't see that in the materials or pay attention to it, or the size of the joints. So, you know, I certainly take Lee's expertise and
Yeah.
input. But I was just looking at the Renaissance Hotel.
Those are like perfectly placed into, I think, into the joint, when you actually can look at it clearly.
Yeah.
They're all straight into the mortar joint.
Yeah, I think that was a discussion
Yeah.
when we got that.
And usually for, even with like staff approvals and previous, HRC approvals, there's always a stipulation that they are anchored into the mortar joint because it's easier to repair the mortar joint.
Yeah.
Once removed, and there's less chance of like damage and further water, due to further water infiltration into stone face. So that,
Yeah, it's a good point here though, because I actually don't know how wide those joints are, so.
We'd have to go field measure and
Maybe bringing
adjust
up a
our
good
legs.
Because if they, if they're 5/8, I don't know how thick those flags are, like.
Probably through bolts all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, at least half inch. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have to look at that and see.
So maybe we say if the size of the through bolt is equal to or less than the thickness of the mortar joint, then it gets installed in the mortar joints. But if it's larger than the mortar joint, then we put it only through the stone so that you don't have to.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I guess that runs a little counter to what normal guidance is that we give to applicants, but I think you have, a stone with a reveal joint, and then we don't know what the mortar joint width is because those rustications are cut into the stone face. So it's kind of a field judgment thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whichever is, and as you say, or as you pointed out, if the anchor is of the diameter of the width of a mortar joint or less, then it should go into the mortar joint. But if it's much larger than that, then it has to be carefully positioned to minimize damage of the stone and in a manner that is repairable at some point in the future. I guess I was wondering about the teacup shape myself. Almost looks like it could be a sign on a car dealership. And there might be something else about your signage or your identity that uses that shape. Again, I think what made the Renaissance work as well as it did in our mind was that it was just a very simple rectangular expression. But I know you're trying to portray a bit of a different image here.
No, I think it's more about how it would fit on the size of the sign, right? If you tried to run Albany Capital Center lengthwise, it would be a
It'd
20-foot sign.
20 feet tall or so.
Yeah, it seems like it's a solution to a graphic.
I was just whispering to Brandon, I actually might even tell Tom to lose the logo aspect of it. People tend to, and I say that for two reasons. One, this is a prominent sign, and if we ever rebrand, then we'd have to change the sign. So if you just kept it, we're never gonna change Albany Capital Center, like that's gonna be covered, it's gonna still stay the same. So I think maybe we would even lose that, our very futuristic New York State. That's actually signifies New York State is what that little triangular thing is. It's a nod to that, when they did our branding process.
I can see it now that you pointed out.
Yep.
Fin.
Yeah, it's a very
The tail
modernist.
end of a fish.
Or a sail.
It's like it is, you're right, but it's a very modern,
Sturdy, sturdy.
futuristic art opinion of what a flair of New York State is. But anyway, so I mean, I think that if the content isn't the issue, I think we can work with it to see if maybe we can get the vertical, right, to work. We could play around with it a little bit.
Or I think what I'm hearing from the commission is if that, what everyone's saying is a teacup or that trapezoid, if that were just a rectangle, so those two sides were vertical instead of on the little angle.
Well, then it would look like a cross.
I think you want to
Yeah.
avoid it looking like
Yeah.
a cross.
Yeah. It would be
Oh,
too
I
much
thought I
like-
was hearing that that's what people wanted.
I know,
No,
I don't,
okay.
yeah,
I think Lee was just adding that in as
Oh, got it.
as a
Okay.
comment.
an extra, that maybe that's why you picked the
We
trapezoid.
went back and forth with design a little bit, and the designers came up with this because of a little bit of a luck.
I was trying to get Tom to reduce his price a little bit.
Well, if you remove the logo and shove made the Albany Capitol rectangular and shoved it up to the top of the sign, it doesn't look like a cross anymore.
Yeah.
It's got a cap on the
Earlier,
area.
I was mounting arms. I don't know what the purpose of a logo is. I find it hard to think of it as a New York State.
Yeah, maybe it looks like a hat. It's so many things.
I was not here for that exercise, so that was way back.
Can that section just be like in the future, if it's just a piece of acrylic, like can be removed and replaced with a new logo?
It'd be so, yeah, we can make it so that
Change it out?
top piece could be changeable.
That might be a good idea.
Make it a pan.
I would just take it out. The Renaissance doesn't have their logo on it, not that it has a logo.
We have a big fancy R on top
I
of
was
the
gonna say
building.
it's a big R.
Right.
That was the fun part of that.
And honestly, our logo is in the other signage, right? Like it's prominent on the other, and on the back side of the building for the loading dock, we just have Albany Capital Center. Most people don't know our logo. They don't recognize us by our logo. It's not like we're a Hilton or a
Yes.
Renaissance, like, right? They know us just by our name. Right. So I wouldn't really have any issue actually just losing the logo. Now that I'm looking at it straight on for a little bit. And anything, it could actually, maybe it could increase the font size a little bit so that, it would be a little bit more visible.
Put the street number there too.
Or even a small.
Actually, that would be good, the
You could
street
put
number.
126
We could
there.
put 126 there instead.
Or a small nipper. Nipper's endangered these days.
We just made a
Gesture to
logo,
our
a Lego
dog.
set of the Nipper for a sales conference that we're going to. I was telling Eve about it actually, because I know Owen is really big in
Oh,
Legos.
yeah, every kid is.
Yeah,
Legos.
we actually were able to design it and it's a Lego set that's Nipper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Comes with a pretty box and
Nipper is the only symbol that was elected because the Albany Institute had 50 significant items that said Albany. And they included, I think they had Bill Kennedy's original typewriter and they had the roof, I gave them a box that was made from the original Capitol. It was demolished and this one went in and so on. People had to pick which one they liked. There were 50 of them. And the winner was Nipper. And I say it only half in jest that I worry about Nipper because so many people have invested so heavily in Albany and Zipper and Nipper Town for the area that we've just, it may need some kind of a designation, a local designation to protect it, which means you'd have to do the building, not just Nipper himself. But, and I say that seriously because it's taken on a strength and a uniqueness with Albany that few things have.
If you can figure out how I can create a tourism destination out of that, the authority can actually do that work. It's within a mile.
Yeah.
I have a mile radius.
50
I'm happy
years
to
ago,
meet
we used sturgeons for all kinds of things. Medals and coins and little silver spoons, and they'd have a sturgeon, Albany beef. But we diverse, divest.
Very interesting. Interesting digression.
I'll move to approve this sign as proposed.
Second,
Okay. As proposed.
I'm not gonna.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
I was over here for 10 minutes, so I can head out.
Yes,
What
it's
else
not
is
on-
on here? What else is on the 7th agenda?
It'll be
Yes.
moved to May,
Yes.
correct?
So May
Okay.
7th.
Is there a way, sorry, I'm asking these crazy questions. Is there a way to get information from that meeting if I can't go to the meeting?
It'll be live streamed, so it'll be available on YouTube that evening or the next day.
Cool, how do I get a link to?
If you go on to the city agenda, or if you receive a notice, there's a link to like the registration, and on that registration page, there's information on how to get to the YouTube or the city's agenda center.
Cool, I'll buy some for the farm. But thank you so much, I appreciate you so much.
If you go to the planning department page, there's direct links,
Okay.
yeah, that you can get
Yeah,
there.
but it'll also be on that link that
Yep.
told about it. Yes, thank you so much.
You're
guys.
welcome.
No,
Have a
thank
beautiful
you.
night.
You
And
too.
is UNH in Keene, or where is it?
It's in Durham.
Durham, okay, I was gonna say, I just got back from Keene a little few days ago.
You have to drive through Keene.
It's a beautiful
Well, one way to
spot.
go.
New Hampshire's small, but it's pretty cool at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
no, it's great. Bye.
Night. Are there any other matters to come before the commission this evening?
No. I do not have any updates. Do you have any updates?
No, just a reminder that this meeting was in the middle of the month and the 7th is closer than normal to our next meeting.
Right. And for all of us to show up, so those poor people at the church can move forward.
I have a conference both Thursday and Friday in the Adirondacks.
Yep.
I love you all, but I'm not gonna drive.
You wanna drive all the way in Thursday and go down like that and then super early the next morning?
If there wasn't a quorum, I would consider it more highly, but
Yeah.
Cooperstown was a reasonable drive.
Cooperstown was more reasonable. Saranac, it's not even like it's in Keysville or Keene. It's in Saranac Lake, so it's
Like a little bit of a.
it's a little.
That's a little
Bit of a
hike.
hike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else to come before the commission, thank you, Lee, for your attendance and observations. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, yeah, so moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 You already adjourned a while ago.